On February 26, 1919, Arizona's Grand Canyon becomes a United States national park. But how was this natural wonder formed? And what happened during John Wesley Powell's daring 19th century exploration of the canyon? Also, what was special about the Lewis family's first visit to the Grand Canyon? The Grand Canyon is the product of millions of years of excavation by the mighty Colorado River. Its steep, colorful walls tell the story of 2 billion years of Earth's history. The geological wonder is 15 miles across at its widest point, and more than a mile deep. The first Europeans to discover the canyon were part of Spanish conquistador Coronado's expedition in 1540. In 1869, American geologist John Wesley Powell became the first to lead a journey down the entire length of the gorge. The 10-man expedition began in Green River, Wyoming on May 24th. They faced many hardships in the more than 3-month voyage. By August 28th, they were down to their last 5 days of food when 3 of the 10 men left the expedition. The 3 scaled the canyon walls and went off on their own. To this day, their fate is unclear. Many believe that they were killed by a war party of the local Shivwit Indian tribe, or that they may have gotten lost and starved in the remote desert. What those 3 men didn't realize is that when they left the expedition, it was just 2 days before Powell and the remaining 6 adventurers would reach the end of the canyon and arrive safely at a Mormon settlement near the mouth of the Virgin River, close to what is now Las Vegas. Part of what is amazing about Powell is that he accomplished this feat with only one arm, having lost the other in the American Civil War. During the trip, he took meticulous notes and surveys, did barometric readings, made geological observations, and created detailed maps. 2 years later, in 1871, Powell made a second expedition down the Grand Canyon. His work filled in the last major blank space on the United States map. Powell is also credited with popularizing the name Grand Canyon. In 1878, Powell issued what he called the Report on the Lands of the Arid Region of the United States. It contained his recommendations for how the arid West could be settled. He proposed ideas for land use and logical suggestions for state boundaries. Essentially, he felt those state lines should follow geography rather than using straight lines. Powell's recommendations for state boundaries were mostly rejected. This is easily seen on the map today. Every state line in the western United States includes at least one straight line, many of them following lines of latitude and longitude. And yes, I realize that these latitude lines are technically curved, not straight, but you get the idea. Colorado and Wyoming have to be the best examples of these boundaries, since they are essentially rectangular. Utah is another good example. The decision makers back east just couldn't fathom what the West was really like, since most had never visited there. It was easier to just draw straight lines, no matter how geographically illogical. I live in the West, in Arizona in fact, and the only Arizona border that makes any sense is the western border with California and Nevada, much of which follows the Colorado River. A fine example of how illogical these straight-line boundaries are can be found in Utah's Daggett County. It is located in the far eastern part of the state, bordering Wyoming and Colorado. It is a small county with a population of less than 1,000 people today. It is geographically isolated from the rest of Utah because it is at the base of the Uinta Mountains. In fact, it would make far more sense geographically for Daggett County to be in the state of Wyoming. One positive, though, of the straight-line boundaries of the states of the American West is that you end up with the unique feature that is the Four Corners, where Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah meet at a single point. It's pretty cool that you can stand in 4 states at one time. Okay, back to John Wesley Powell. Even though he didn't get his way with the state boundaries, more importantly, his report had a major effect on the development of the West's water supply. He recognized that individual landowners, cities, counties, and even states could not possibly handle the massive task that it would be to organize a water supply for this arid land. Only the federal government could do it. And so, because of Powell, the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation was formed in 1902, the year John Wesley Powell died. Over the next 60 years, dams and irrigation systems across the West followed principles advocated by Powell. In his honor, the second largest reservoir on the Colorado River was given the name Lake Powell. Many major Western cities could not exist without the water and electricity provided by the efforts of the Bureau of Reclamation. Yellowstone became the world's first national park in 1872. In 1908, 4 years before Arizona became the 48th U.S. state, President Theodore Roosevelt designated 800,000 acres of the Grand Canyon as a national monument. Then, in 1916, Congress established the National Park Service, and 3 years later, President Woodrow Wilson established the Grand Canyon as the 14th U.S. national park. 5 million people visit Grand Canyon National Park each year, making it America's second most visited national park, after the Great Smoky Mountains on the border of North Carolina and Tennessee. I moved to Arizona as an adult. The Grand Canyon is just a few hours away from where I live, yet it took 11 years for me to visit. I guess it's human nature to overlook those sights that are in your own backyard, or you at least struggle to make the time to see them. I suppose you feel like you can go anytime. I'm so glad I finally took the opportunity to see the Grand Canyon. It was back in 2012. As a family, we drove up to Williams and took the Grand Canyon Railway, which was especially fun for my kids. We visited the south rim of the canyon. It was truly awe-inspiring. It felt impossible to take it all in. When you see it in person, it almost looks, well, fake. It is absolutely one of the world's must-visit places. On a personal level, I'll always have a tender spot in my heart for the Grand Canyon, because my father, who went along with us on the trip, hadn't been since he was a kid. He had cancer and passed away just a few months later, and so to have that time with my dad at the Grand Canyon is a sweet memory for me and for my wife and for my kids. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1926, jazz musician Louis Armstrong introduces scat singing while recording the song Heebie-Jeebies. In 1935, Hitler signs a secret decree authorizing the establishment of the Luftwaffe, Germany's Air Force. In 1993, Al-Qaeda terrorists detonate a bomb in a parking garage at the World Trade Center in New York. In 1998, Oprah Winfrey wins a court battle with Texas cattlemen who had sued her for defamation. In 2012, black teen Trayvon Martin is fatally shot in Florida by a neighborhood watch volunteer. In 2017, Moonlight wins Best Picture after one of the biggest gaffes in Academy Awards show history. In 2024, the record-breaking Smokehouse Creek fire ignites in the Texas Panhandle and burns 1 million acres. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. Which city was the first in what is now the United States to celebrate Mardi Gras? Pensacola, Florida? Mobile, Alabama? Biloxi, Mississippi? Or New Orleans, Louisiana? Liked learning about the Grand Canyon? Then you'll love this one about another iconic site in the United States, the Vietnam Memorial. Tap the screen to keep the story going on Today in History.